ready. Today, we're gonna focus on some core bicep exercises that you should be doing, but we're gonna add some tweaks that'll really help you make some serious progress in your workouts.
One thing I won't do is let you tell me that I can't be great. Who gon' stop me now? Can't be great. Who gon' stop me now?
We're back at Core Performance for today's video because, honestly, who wouldn't want to hang out in this seriously awesome gym? So a big thank you to the owners for opening their doors and letting me film here every single week. I'm sure most of you have been to the gym and seen those guys that unfortunately hyper-focus their training on biceps or just arms in general and seem to forget about a lot of other parts of their bodies, especially legs. Not only does it look ridiculous and disproportionate if you build up your arms and kind of forget about everything else, but over time, it's going to create terrible imbalances in your body and you're going to develop posture issues and pain as well. Long story short, always focus on strengthening your body in a balanced way in order to stay pain and injury free. You can thank me later. Just like the triceps, the biceps are broken into three distinct sections. You have the long and the short head of the biceps brachii, and you have the brachialis. So from inside to outside, the short head of the bicep is the inner part of the bicep, or I should say the closest part to your body on the front of your arm. And you can best isolate this part of the muscle by putting your elbows a little closer together on some exercises for biceps, or by also supinating or turning your palms up. The long head is the middle to outer part of the bicep muscle and also on the front of your arm. Both the long and the short heads of the bicep are largely responsible for flexion movements at the elbow, as well as supinating your hands, which is turning the palms up, which you can easily see here in my arm as the biceps are engaged in order to twist my wrist into a supinated position. The brachialis is a bit different, as it's actually a different muscle entirely, and it inserts in your elbow on the ulna bone of your forearm, underneath where the bicep attaches down there. And it actually runs up the side of your arm, in between the bicep and the lateral head of the tricep. It's actually responsible for a bit of a different movement pattern than the biceps are. And if you really want to build strong, well-developed arms, this is the one that you want to focus on to build a wider, bigger bicep overall. You can generally isolate this muscle a bit better by using a more pronated grip like in hammer curls, and also it responds better to heavier loads given your form is on point. All right, now that we're past all that, check your ego at the door and let's get started. So I'm sure that this first one is either something that every one of you has either tried at one point, or it's one of your staple go-tos in your arm workouts. And yet, in my experience, almost everybody somehow screws this one up. When it comes to dumbbell or barbell curls, I've literally seen just about everything over the years. You name it, I've seen it. The most common are the guys that are in the gym that are using way too much weight and they're just hoisting this up. They're leveraging using their back and their shoulders, barely even really using their biceps, even though they think they are. And it's kind of like watching a herniated disc in the making. To people who use these weird fricactive angles, or motions that I can't even figure out what they're doing. I've seen people mimicking the shake weight. Don't ever do that, okay? Unless you want to be made fun of by someone. And lastly, the other thing that kind of drives me crazy is you'll see people preaching this even online, and it's totally wrong. They'll basically bring their arm up and they have motion at the shoulder. So at the peak contraction, their elbow is all the way forward and they're totally unloading their bicep, which you want to have the full weight on it at the top of the contraction. So it's not working for you, and that's something we're going to correct today. So today I'm going to show you a little tweak in the form for this one that you can use on any piece of equipment, no matter if you're using resistance bands, cables, barbells, dumbbells, whatever, and no matter what your grip is. And I promise you it's going to go a long way to making this exercise a lot more effective for you. All you're really going to do differently here in terms of the overall form is you're going to keep your knees bent slightly, you're going to keep your back straight, core engaged the whole time, lean a little bit forward. You're also going to make sure that you have no movement whatsoever in the shoulders. They stay in a static position so that your arms are not moving forward and backward. This will keep the weight focused on just using the biceps to curl it up concentrically. When you bring it up, pause around the middle of the chest, keeping your elbows back, and bring it back down eccentrically about half speed. That's an important component in almost every exercise. When you're bringing it back down to the starting position eccentrically, you want to go slow. It's going to really amp up the effectiveness of any exercise that you do. So I'm sure many of you have done the preacher curl bench before, using an easy curl bar or dumbbells. I'm also pretty positive that a lot of you have screwed up the form unintentionally just by using leverage, incorporating your shoulders into the movement or your back a little bit as well. So we're going to go through that and correct all those things today. So while I love this exercise, unfortunately gravity's not really our friend here. Since when you're bringing the weight up towards the peak contraction point, your forearms become near vertical at the top, which unloads the weight from the bicep. Unless you're using cables or resistance bands that are coming from a source diagonally out in front of and below you, which fixes this whole issue. So if you're still stuck at home because of quarantine and your gym is closed or you're just not ready to go back yet, and you have a good set of resistance bands at home, and if you don't, go buy one right now, what I want you to do is go find a sturdy chair, couch, whatever it may be that you can lean over and simulate what you can do here on the preacher curl bench. And also you need something that you're going to safely anchor your resistance bands around by the floor. And in that case, try that method at home. It works great. But once you do get back to the gym one day, I want you to incorporate this little tweak into your workout using the preacher curl bench, because I really think it's going to make it much more effective for you. So instead of sitting on the bench and leaning over the way this equipment was meant to be used, what I want you to do is flip things around and lean up against the opposite side, letting your arms hang straight down. And you're going to curl it up, keeping your elbows locked in place, no shoulder movement whatsoever, and you're going to bring it up to just a little bit above a 90-degree bend in your elbow. Pause briefly, and then let it go back down eccentrically, nice and slow. Again, use a reasonable weight for this, not something that's going to destroy you right off the bat, something you can get about 15 reps per set. You really want to focus on the form with this one, and trust me, it will really work and it'll kick your butt if you do it right. All right, so this is one of my favorites, and it's really pretty simple. It's hammer curls. So just like the first exercise we covered today, what you want to do, you want to keep the same stance pretty much. Knees bent, back straight, core engaged, lean a little bit forward. But the focus of this one is really on the brachialis. And the brachialis is a little unique in that it responds a little bit better to a slightly increased weight put on it. You're going to focus on holding the weights or the handles with a slightly pronated grip in a hammer grip, like you're holding a hammer, palms facing in towards your body. Right? That's going to take a little bit of the biceps out and concentrate a little bit more on the brachialis. So the form for this exercise is very similar to what you did for the bicep curl. Keeping your elbows at your sides and slightly back, curl the weight up, holding that hammer grip the entire time, and extend your wrist slightly up as you raise the weight up towards the top of the motion. Pause for a moment and bring the weight back down slowly to the starting position at the bottom. You can also pronate your grip even more, basically performing reverse curls with your palms facing down. You can bring these straight up in front of you or slightly across your body, depending on which you feel more comfortable with. And this will incorporate more of the brachioradialis. Just be careful not to go too heavy with this, because if you go too heavy with an extremely pronated grip like that, you can actually cause a little damage and injury to your wrist. So this next one can be done with cables or resistance bands and any stable incline surface. For today, we're going to use an incline bench just because we have it available, so why not? But you'll see how easy it is to really adapt this to anything you have at home and using just a simple set of bands. The purpose of this exercise is to isolate the biceps and to try to remove any activation as much as possible from the shoulders and the back as leverage. So you want to bring your bench over to the cable machine or wherever you have your resistance bands anchored to, and what you want to try to do is keep the bench at about ballpark about a 30-degree angle. But more important than that is you want the source of the resistance coming at you at an angle that's about parallel to you, but a little out in front. So in an ideal world, I'd love to use an easy curl type bar that connects to the cable machine, It's just easier on the wrist, the angle of it, but unfortunately, we don't have access to that today. So we're gonna make do with just a straight bar, and that works just fine. So the form for this is pretty simple. You start at the bottom with about a 20-degree bend in your elbow, give or take. Curl it up to about the middle of your chest, pause briefly, extend back down eccentrically to the bottom, and rinse and repeat. Also make sure when you're bringing it back down eccentrically, you go a little slower than when you curl it up. You want to choose a weight that you could probably hit about ballpark 15 reps before either your form starts to break down or you hit muscle failure. And just like all the other exercises, you want to probably aim for about 3 to 4 sets of this. And if you want to increase the difficulty, what you can do is pause for a full second at the top and pause it for about a full second at the bottom as well. As always, make sure you do a proper warm-up before you do any of these exercises, and when you're done, make sure you stretch. Trust me, you're gonna thank me long term. Make sure you also go check out this tricep workout on my channel by clicking on the link above, because it goes hand in hand with this video, and it'll help you get the best results when you pair these two workouts together. For more information on how we can help you achieve all your health, fitness, and nutrition goals, go check out FitLabb.com. And we're more than happy to work with you to create a program that's designed just for you with our in-house registered dietitian and myself. By the way, if you haven't already, you know the drill by now. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already, click the notifications bell, and drop a comment or question below and share it with a couple people that you know. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and don't forget to check your ego at the door. Have a great day. Just because it's an easier angle on the wrists, but unfortunately we don't have access. So you're gonna focus on holding the weights or, oh my God. By the way, you guys know the drill by now. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, click the. And once you do get back to the gym one day eventually, I want you to try this little tweak and I can't speak. If you haven't already done so, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, God, one last one, come on. Leave a comment or question below and make sure you send this. I want to eat dinner, come on already. Stop messing up. Ugh. And lastly, you have some people who either never. Hold on. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and don't forget to check your ego at the door. I'm off to grab some dinner now. Have a great day.